Hello everyone, this is Janna Gajjar, Assistant Professor at ITICT Department of LG Institute of Engineering and Technology. Welcome to the video lecture series of subject Software Project Management. In previous lecture, we have discussed about what is project matrix. Also, we have discussed about what is project status report and calculation of earned value analysis. Now, in today's lecture, we are going to cover what is the communication plan and what is the communication technique. Also, we are going to learn about how to improve the project. Okay, so what will be the step to improve the quality of the software? Okay, so we are going to learn about software process improvement. Okay, so let's start with the first topic of today's lecture, that is project communication plan. Okay, so as we know that communication is the main thing during any software project development. Okay, so communication with any stakeholder like any customer, any board team member. Okay, so if any customer required for any software, so you need to communicate with that particular customer also for better understanding about what he or she actually require. Then you will communicate with your team, so what they have to actually develop. Then you will communicate with the board members or the higher authorities for approving of all the project related activities, right? So communication is the main part of the project development, right? So the thing is how to communicate a particular project. So there will be a project communication plan. Okay, so project communication plan is a simple tool that enables you to communicate effectively on a project with your client, team and other stakeholders. Okay, so before communicating with any person, you have to plan what to communicate. Okay, so for an example, if you have any doubt in particular subject, so what you are going to do, you will make a notes of all the doubts and then you are going to communicate with your faculty. Okay, so you have to plan what you have to communicate. Okay, so project communication plan is basically an agreement between collaborator and a stakeholders that outlines what, when and how information will be said at key intervals. Okay, so after 1 or 2 months what will be delivered to the customer, or after 1 week what you are going to complete. Okay, so that will be a project communication plan. Okay, so it is an agreement that is between collaborator and stakeholder that will outline what, when and how information will be shared. Okay, so that is about what is the actually project communication plan. So what is the importance of that particular communication plan? So what is the need? So communication plan play an important role in every project. Okay, as we know that for every project development we need a proper communication. Okay, so why it is important? So if you are doing a proper communication, or if you are doing a proper project communication plan, okay, so by using this you can easily creating written documentation that the team can reference. Okay, so if there are multiple requirements from the customer, so you will draft a document, so you will pass all the requirement to the team members by using a documentation. Okay, so by doing a proper communication you can create a written documentation that the team can reference, okay, for developing any project. Then it also setting expectation of when stakeholder will receive update. Okay, so if I am a stakeholder, means I am a customer and you are developer, so I can get some expectation like when you are going to complete my work. Okay, so by using a communication plan, setting expectation of when stakeholder will receive the update, that is also set. But then also it is increasing the stakeholder visibility into the project and its status. Okay, so if you are going to communicate with any stakeholder, so communication will play a vital role. That means stakeholder can easily track what is the actually going in their project. Okay, it also providing the opportunity for stakeholder to give some feedback which can help the team detect some issues early on and decrease the wasted work. Okay, so for an example, if you are planning for your examination, you will make the notes. Okay, and if you have any doubt you will ask your faculty. Okay, or you will refer the any of the reference to guide on the particular topic. Okay, so same, by using a communication plan, it will provide you the opportunity for stakeholder to give the feedback, and which can help the team to detect whatever the issue at the early stages, and also it will help to decrease the wasted work, and also it increase productivity during meetings or eliminate them altogether. Okay, so if any mischief is done, so you will eliminate all this particular productivity. Okay, so this is why we need to do a project communication plan. Okay, so it will help us in a many way, for creating any written document, for setting up some expectation, for increasing the stakeholder visibility, for providing some opportunity to stakeholder, and also it will help to increase the productivity. Okay, so by doing a proper communication, your software project will be obviously in a successful development, right? So this is the reason why the project communication is important. Okay, now let's understand what to include in a communication plan, right? So while the specific of your communication plan will vary depending on the project type and scope. Okay, so what to communicate, that will be completely depend on what your project is. Okay, so if you are going to develop a food delivery system, okay, so your communication is regarding to the food delivery. If you are going to develop a e-commerce website, so your communication is regarding to the e-commerce website. Okay, so while the specifics of your communication plan will vary depending on the project type and scope, there are few key items that should be included in every project communication. Okay, so for that we know that, like if we are developing a food delivery system or e-commerce system, okay, for both the things some common points are there. Okay, so common points are who are the key stakeholder. Okay, so in that particular project, who is the key stakeholder, then who is the team member that you can define, then communication method, so you are doing a communication on mobile phone, via email, okay, then communication type, so which kind of communication you are doing, okay, formal, informal, casual, then what is the communication style, so that means what is the actual tone for your communication. Then meeting the schedule. So for better communication, you can schedule out meeting like review meeting or requirement gathering meeting. Okay, so in which you are going to discuss all the points. Then key messages. So what will be the key messages that all the team members should follow, and also communication goal. Okay, so whatever the goal of the communication, that you need to define. Okay, so in that particular communication plan, you need to include all these things. Right, so this is all about what to include in a communication plan. Okay, now there are three techniques in communication plan, that are interactive communication, push communication, and a pull communication. Okay, so three types of communication method that are essential to know as a project manager. Okay, so let's understand each and every technique in a brief. So first type is interactive communication. Okay, so interactive communication is effective in conveying the sensitive and important information in a way that can be best understood and acted upon immediately. Okay, so if anything happened, so project manager will inform all the team members. Okay, so interactive communication means it is completely on an immediate base, and it will be a best understandable format. Okay, so it is communication is effective in conveying some sensitive or some important information. Okay, so if any requirement is changed during the development, so project manager will notify the team members. Okay, so that will be an interactive communication. Okay, so some example of interactive communication are like face-to-face meeting you can conduct, you can do a phone conversation, you can do a video conferencing through some platform like Zoom and MS Team. Okay, so that will be some example of interactive communication. So interactive communication often means meeting in a person, however it is face-to-face meeting, but if it is not possible, then communication over the phone or through the video conferencing. So it can help to ensure that the message are communicated clearly and will still allow you to use your tone, some facial expression, some pitches and visual aids to convey the intended messages. Okay, so interactive communication means if you have to deliver some important and sensitive data, then you can perform a interactive communication between team members. Okay, so this is about interactive communication. Now what do you mean by push communication? Okay, so while interactive communication is all about engaging with your stakeholder and receiving a response quickly, So that at time push communication on the other hand entails sending information to the recipient while not expecting a response immediately. Okay, so some example of push notification are emails, some project newsletter, some project documentation. Okay, so that will be not on a immediate manner. Okay, so if there is a scenario like anyone is not reachable on a phone call or by a video conference, so you can send an email to them, you can send a newsletter, you can document them properly. Okay, so whatever the project documentation, you can send that particular document. Okay, so push communication is useful when you need to convey information to others. However, the message is not time sensitive or urgent. Okay, but if you have a urgent and immediate based communication, then go with the interactive communication. If it is not like that, then push communication will be better. Okay, so project manager can use push communication in the form of information update or a report. Okay, so if anything like what is the actual progress report, what is ongoing, so that will be a kind of push communication. Okay, so if you want to provide some information, that will be a push communication, right? And the third type is pull communication. So pull communication is a method of allowing stakeholder to access information at their leisure. Okay, so pull communication can provide a sense of trust between the stakeholder and the project manager. Okay, and it is provide some transparency between those people. Okay, so some example of pull communication include project website or landing page, some project knowledge base, some project management. Okay, so if you are providing website link, so that will be a pull communication. Okay, so pull communication always comes down to the stakeholder deciding to access project information in their own time. Okay, so if you will send some document to me, okay, so I will check all the documents on my time. Okay, so that will be a pull communication. Okay, similarly, if you have any query related to your project, you will notify your team leader or a project manager. So at their time, they will reply back you. Okay, so that will be a pull communication. Okay, so these all are the three types of communication. Interactive, so if you have any urgent work or any sensitive data to share, so interactive communication is there. Push communication, so if any work is not on the urgent basis, so that will be a push communication. So you can use email and all these things. And a pull communication, so if you want to work with your own time, then pull communication is better choice. Okay, so this is all about what is the project communication plan and all the types of communication. Okay, now let's understand what do you mean by software process improvement. Okay, now what is the software process improvement and why it is needed. Okay, so we know that like customer every time give you some new requirement. Okay, so for that you need a better quality of software. Okay, also if you have included some features, so as per the market need, you need to include more features to your application. For an example, when WhatsApp was developed, they just have a chatting facility only. Okay, then after as per the market demand, they will add a video and audio call facility, then the status update, then payment information. You can send a payment to any of your friend. Okay, so that will be a improvement in your software process. Okay, so software process improvement methodology is defined as a sequence of tasks, tools and techniques to plan and implement improvement activities to achieve some specific goal, such as increasing development speed, achieving higher product quality or reducing the cost. Okay, so on minimize the cost, how much good quality product you can deliver, that you can include in a software process improvement. Okay, so there are some process attributes that focusing on the concept of process improvement. So understandability, so you need to understand what actually market needs. Then visibility, okay, so what is the visible by the customer, that you need to understand. Then reliability, like whether the product is reliable or not. Then supportability, how much support it required or how much support it will give. Then robustness, so whether your product is robust or not. Acceptability, whether it will accept all the environmental changes or not. Okay, then rapidity, on how much basis you can change that particular application, like how fast you can perform, that is rapidity. And last is maintainability, so how good you are maintaining your project. Okay, so that is the attribute that included in a improvement of your software process. Okay, so if I am teaching you, so what will be the process of the teaching. Okay, so that will be a improvement. So if any changes required, so I will improve my learning. teaching skill. Okay, so that is the teaching improvement. Similarly, for software process improvement, if you are developing any software, so at that time you need to improve your process for a better understanding of software, for a faster delivery of your software project, right? So you need to improve your software process. Okay, so this is the concept behind software process improvement. Okay, there is actually a software process improvement model is there. So process improvement is a basically a crucial activity and it involves some stages. So first you have to perform some improvement. So process improvement. So current project attributes are measured. So whatever you have in the current stage, that you have to measure, and then you have to identify what to change. So that will be identify the process that needs to be improved. So that is included in a process improvement. Then process analysis. Now if you have decided like this much should be changeable, so you have to identify process and analyze to obtain the bottleneck and weaknesses. Okay, so you have to analyze, if I am going to change this, so what will be the strength, what will be the weaknesses of that particular software product. Okay, and at last you are performing the change, so that is process change. So after analysis phase, some process need to get changed. So okay, so in this phase the required changes are incorporated in a process. So if you want to perform some changes or improving in your software process, so you need to follow this all three stages. Starting from first you have to measure what change you require, then you have to analyze on that particular change, and you need to perform a change actually. Okay, so this is the actual process of software process improvement. Okay, now let's understand what are the 4 cyclic steps. Okay, so SPI mainly consists 4 cyclic steps. So while this step can be broken down into more steps according to the method and technique you are going to use. Okay, so while in most cases the process will contain this step. First is you have to plan for your improvement, so that is improvement planning. Then you have to implement that improvement, so improvement implementation. Then you have to evaluate that improvement whatever you have performed, so improvement evaluation. And last thing is current situation evaluation. So what is the current situation in your project or in your existing project, so that this process will be helpful. Okay, so this is the 4 cyclic step. Okay, so if WhatsApp was developed, they have followed this process to improve their version and application updated. Okay, so what actually improvement is needed, so that will be a plan. Then they are actually implementing this improvement, so improvement implementation. Similarly, you are evaluating like how it must be useful to the customer, so that means improvement evaluation. And again you are doing a current situation evaluation. Based on that you can perform a next improvement. Okay, so this is the 4 cyclic step for software process improvement. Okay, so what are these steps? So let's understand in a detail. So first step is current situation evaluation. Okay, so for updating any of your process, you have to analyze what is in an existing manner. Okay, so initial phase of the process, and it is mainly to access the current situation of the software process by eliciting the requirement from the stakeholder, analyzing the current artifacts and deliverables, and identify the inefficiencies from the software process. Okay, so the key consideration in this step to identify organizational goal and ask the solution oriented question. Okay, so if you want to improve something, so you need to analyze what is in a existing. Okay, so what are the drawbacks in the existing system? Based on that drawback you can improve your process. Okay, so that will be a current situation evaluation. Okay, then if you have done current situation evaluation, now you have to perform some planning of improvement. So improvement plan. So after analyzing the current situation and the improvement goals, the findings should be categorized and prioritized according to which one is the most important or have the most severity. Okay, so we should observe what is the new target level of the improvement should look like. Okay, so moreover in this step the gap between the current level and the target level, so that should be planned in terms of a set of activities to reach that target. Okay, so whatever you have targeted, like in WhatsApp only chatting facility was there, and then after they have moved to the video and audio call facility. They have added that thing. Okay, so that is improvement of planning. So the target will be like audio and video call facility. So you are planning for your improvement. Then after planning, you are actually implementing it. So in this step, the plan activities are executed and it puts to the improvement into practice. Okay, and spread it across the organization. So what can be effective at the second, third and fourth step, that planning and implementation could be an iterative way. So for an example, implementing improvement for improving requirement first, then implementing the reduction of the testing process time and so forth. Okay, so this is how you are improving the implementation. Okay, so actual implementation of improvement is going to take place. So if you want to improve something, so actual implementation is there. So you have to start from the first phase of your project. Okay, and last is improvement evaluation. So what is cannot be measured, cannot be improved. That's why in this step the impact measure is applied compared with the GQM, that is goal question metric. So before improvement measure, after the improvement measure and the target improvement measure are calculated. So measurement in general permits an organization to compare the rate of actual changes against its plan change and allocate resources based on the gap between actual and expected progress. Okay, so that will be a evaluation of improvement. Okay, so these are the all four cyclic steps for software process improvement. First is you need to analyze what is in a existing. Okay, so that is current situation evaluation. Then you are doing improvement planning, so you are actually planning for your improvement. Then you are doing actual implementation, so implementation, and at last you are performing evaluation of that improvement. Okay, so improvement evaluation. Okay, so whatever you have improved, you have to calculate according to the metrics and measure. Okay, so this is all about the software process improvement. So here we have completed unit 3 of our syllabus. So that's all for the today's lecture. Thank you.